clean that up now. Hey, welcome back to the Hoosier Garage. I'm your host, Adam. And if you've been keeping up, notice everything's red now. Last episode we had all the red paint going on. So we're actually at a stage where we can start putting a few things back. And this probably being the first. It's the old emergency brake situation. And whoever had this at some point had some deal where they smeared silicone caulk on everything, and this was no different. I think they were trying to seal out some kind of an air leak. And so we're going to clean it up, touch this thing up with some black paint, and remount it where it goes. And we got another series of items somewhere around here. Oh, right here. Stuff like that. The little bracket that holds the steering column in, the bolts, our brake pedal switch, which shows you when the lights come on. We'll mount that back in there. And the brake pedal. A lot of real knick-knacky kind of stuff, but we'll have to take a few moments on each of them and put some black paint on them. Most of it is black paint, just accessory brackets, that sort of thing. Got a lot of this crap in it. So we're going to jump into that, and it'll be a nice change of pace for us. We're not directly trying to refinish large areas of the sheet metal. But I think that'll do. We'll just clean this up a little bit, take some a Brillo pad to it, we'll blow it out, and we'll just spray it with some black paint and remount it. It looks like 3 bolts. I know 2 of them was there, but one of them was missing. And I think that goes directly into the count. Yeah, it does. So probably what was happening was getting some leaves and dirt and all this crap built up in there, and when it got a little wet out, it probably sat there and it was probably dripping right in here, and he was sealing everything from here to the moon up, trying to chase it out. So I got another bolt we'll put in there. Might put a little bit of sealant on it too, just to kind of seal it off. So alright, now I have a little tray here, and it has a handful of items. Like we got our door strikers, a lot of the stuff I just showed you some of that, but a lot of it's stuff that pertains to this area. And I had 2 bolts, like I just pointed out, that they had one here, and then we had one here. Well, there's another one that goes there, and that mounts the top part of this emergency brake handle. And I said we need to put some sealer in there, but we need another bolt, and they need to look like these. More so if we're looking for something super specific. This isn't as important, but we're going to go to our wall of organized parts from the past. And I know I have a lot of these bolts here. This is like battery ground cable bolts. Sometimes they work for other things on your engine. We got fender studs and their washers, fender washers specifically. And then we get into some fender bolts, and we know those are about the same thread, but they're a little too long and got a bigger washer. And actually right here, so here's the bolt we have, the one that was in there, and here's what we got. It's the same bolt, even got the same entry point on them, right? So this sort of situation is quite handy. Actually, what's funny about that red bolt, that is Rallye Red. I had a 74 Dart years ago, and we painted that color, and it looks like that got a little covered in it. So look, we've got a matching set of bolts now. So what we're going to do is just stick them in the location, just a couple turns. That way we don't misplace them while we're working on this. Ain't that beautiful? Now the bolts for this U shape, the collar for the steering column, went ahead and stuck them in there. This one here, we had the bolt stuck in that. That'll fit in there, and you want the button part of it right here. You want that to press this way into it, and you can see where it was. Actually, if you look closely, you can see where the washer on that bolt was, so you'll know where to put it, and it'll be right in the neighborhood of where it needs to be for the right calibration. So we will place that back in there. These, we're going to clean them up and make them look pretty, because they might actually show, even if the carpet that covers this doesn't. They'll go on there. So we'll just put them a couple threads in, and then we will, as we get to it, take care of each of them and refinish them by hand. Okay. And what else we got? Some of these are for your installation, which was pretty much rotten in ours, but we'll keep these. They're little push pins. And then the rest of these will fall into place as we go. We'll figure out exactly. This is for a ground. And we'll get there as we go in it. We'll clean that up. And we'll get all our parts together that need to be painted black and show you how we're going to do that. Alright, we're looking at a few things, and you could probably do a better job of labeling this stuff than I do. I tend to just put it in little groups that I associate with. For instance, this is for the seats. I did take the seats out, and all the bolts with their washers, I put them here, and all of this stuff is for what held the old rubber floor mat in. So I just put it here because I know that goes through the floor. Okay. Now, there's some other oddball items, like, we got that stuff there, and I've got this little piece here. This held our heater control cables, and I know that pretty much in good shape anyways. That'll set right back there. Okay. And then our heater box will go across here, and out here you have a lot of the similar stuff. We have the heater unit, the blower and all that the cables and all that attached to. That's what that is sitting there. That'll get cleaned up and painted. The e-brake cable, we could isolate this and paint it, silver or black. It's kind of ate up here from the old battery acid, so we might look into getting a new one, but right now I'm not going to worry about it because it might have to get replaced, if there even is a good replacement. So we'll go through and probably pull that back through and into place. Now right here there's a hole, there's a little bracket that went on here. I've got that over here, and it's similar to the one we just put in there, but we can put a little bit of black paint on it, clean it up, and then there's the screw for it. Other things we have here, we got the accelerator pedal, which does have a little crack in it, but we could actually probably fill that in with some what do they call that, plasti dip, and sand it in. Brake pedal. With this stuff you could take, see, it's got a little bit of a gloss to it. You could take a Brillo pad and scuff it all up really good, and it'll make it look kind of new that way, because when you see new rubber, in a lot of cases it isn't shiny, it has kind of a dull finish to it, and it'll uniform it and freshen it up that way. Here's our bracket, here's our booster 90-degree situation, which is kind of greasy, dirty. We can clean that up and paint it black, and here's our bolts for it. And when you think about that and the heater box from this side, that's going to do quite a bit of stuff, because that heater box takes a large bit of real estate here, goes into the hole, and then your bracket for the brake booster sets right here. When you get your battery in there, we clean our radiator up. We've already done the blackout on here with the rust encapsulator and a little bit of black spray paint to blend it in.
State. Injuries have been a huge factor as a rookie.
All right, so we're getting into some pretty intricate cleaning work right now, and you could at your own discretion, however clean you want something to be, you go do that. Okay, I like things to present pretty well, but they don't have to be sandblasted to me, because one, I don't have a sandblaster. Would I like one? Yeah. But right now, we work with what we have. I'm not gonna round all this stuff up and take it to the sandblaster, because it's too time consuming. Considering what we have here, very small amounts of rust, and this is pretty heavy duty anyways, I'm not too worried about it. Now I have taken it apart. It's a 90-degree situation for your brake assembly, and what I did was I started out by scrubbing it down, just a basic scrub down, and then I put it in the old parts washer, which our fluid's going to need to be changed here, but it's still doing a job. I let it soak in there a bit. I took our brushes, used it, and then pulled it over here, and we took the wire brush and just went into the corners as much as we can, and then use this guy. Now, drying it all off, I've been taking sandpaper to the inside of it. That's why that looks the way it does. A little bit in there too. So you're gonna still be picking up a lot of grit and grime. So just keep your paper kind of fresh, and then just go to town on it. And then when you are done, before you are ready to paint it, if you feel like it's clean enough, you get all the little nooks and crannies out. The worst ones in here are down in them corners, okay? But when you get it to the point where you are happy with it and you want to lay some paint on it, take you some lacquer thinner, I don't have any lacquer thinner at the moment, but I could use the reducer from our paint, just a little bit of that, something with a cut to it, you know what I mean? And you could wipe it down a few times, Another good thing to use is brake cleaner, because it dissolves, it's very dry, and you could spray it down, wipe it down when you spray it the first time, and you might leave a little bit of lint on it, you know, and plus whatever residue is broken loose, you take that residue off, and then the last go is you could spray it down real good again. Just go up and down through there. I might run out here in a bit and get me some, because I think that's one of the better ways to do it, and it'll get what's left of that stuff off. You could use a wax or wax and tar remover, grease remover, whatever, but when you spray it, it's full throttle. It pushes it right off. Like I said, do one time, wipe it. Second time, do it for the kill, and then let it dry. You know, move it around a little bit, let it dry, and then it should be ready for you to either prime or paint, however you want to do it. I will probably just go ahead and put some black on it. It's in good shape. We won't worry about a primer. So that's what I'm going to do. And all right, so no real science to this, but I think it helps it be as clean as it can. Just wipe it down good. You're going to get the bulk of the residue off this way. Try not to put any of your clean sides down on, like, don't take this side and put it down on that rag, because it's holding a lot of gack. So when you get done doing that one, a nice liberal dose. Let it drain off for a second. And then you do the inside that way, and do it one more time on the outside and the inside. And then wipe it down with a fresh paper towel or whatever you have that won't leave a big mess. If you do lay it back on the piece that might have some oil in it, just make sure you wipe that side down good. So once we have it all gone over like that, hit one more time. Hit those corners real good where it's hard to get to. Usually melt it out. And if you need to do it this way, if it's got an edge where it's barely touching, or if you can hang it on something like a wire, just let it dry off naturally. Alright, so we got our bracket all painted up, cleaned up first, then painted, put it back together. We took pictures of everything beforehand to make sure that the orientation of, you know, the grease fittings on the top, the bolt, the large hole in the bracket goes to the left, this part goes against the firewall, and all that sort of thing. So we're ready to put it in there, and we'll just start by getting a couple bolts. But on this one, I don't know how all of them are. They seem a little hobnob here, but like these do not go in those holes, but they go in these holes back here. So we'll push them through. And the good thing about having the doors and the windshield out, if I need to reach around there, I can put the nuts on.
But they don't thread directly into the body.
This is easy to do it that way. Let them fall out. Place one at a time. Don't chance it. Let it set there. Take one of the washers and the nut, and on it'll go. This one's tricky because the whole box on the other side of this, where your steering column fits up and everything, it's right there, so you're going to have to get your hands up in there and do it that way. There we go. Now the bracket's in there. We're just going to tighten those down, And then I think what I'll do, I need to do the obviously the booster here shortly, but I'll probably go ahead and mount the arm, the push rod that goes from here, and mount it up to the pedal. That way we'll have that part done, out of the way, and we'll just worry about from here forward. So other than that, let's see, we're going to put the wiper motor in probably shortly. We still got to clean up all the linkage, the arms and all that stuff. They weren't painted originally, so they look pretty rough. That and the pivots. Here's the booster and the master cylinder. So there's a few things here we need to clean up, and we'll just go from there. But so far it's looking pretty sharp, pretty organized, pretty clean, ready for a car show almost, ain't it? Alright, so I went ahead and cleaned this all up. I took the boot off of it. And you can take the boot off if the boot is good, which this one is actually really good, which is awesome considering it's several decades old. I put a little bit of silicone on it and was able to carefully work it off the head of this thing. And the same thing when you put it back on. I just scrubbed it down really good, and as well as the boot, and threw some more silicone on it. And here are the bolts. They're both identical. They go in there. They got little rubber O-rings on them. When you put these on, like inside there, use some white lithium grease, because they seem to be full of it anyways, and that'll help keep it from wearing or grabbing or anything like that. So put some white lithium on there, which I think I've got some right here somewhere. There's disc brake right here. Here we go. There we go. We just take a little bit, put some inside there, put the rest there, and we are good to go. So we're going to put that in, and when we do, we're going to slip this little notch right around that black bracket that we did, and you'll get to see that. So we'll slip it through here, and that will hug around that thing, and we'll get it all in position, run the bolts in it, and be ready to go. Alright, so just did that, got the brake booster part of it situated, at least the push rod. So it's getting a little later. I'm probably going to finish up with a couple more things. Here's the wiper motor. I got a little touch-up paint on it. It doesn't need a whole lot, just put back together. But right here, here's our heater box. So it looks like it comes off all apart in quite a few sections here, which is good. It's not all sealed up or riveted. You can take this off and clean it up and paint it. You can take the actual blower motor out. You can take this panel off here, and you can even take it off from this part. That's where your heater core is. So pretty nice little compact unit. It's easy to get out, easy to get in. So if you ever blow a heater core in one of these, it'd take more than, about a half an hour to get it in and get it out. So I'm gonna start taking this apart slowly, and we'll just start organizing the parts, see what we need to refinish, repaint, obviously the outside, and whatever else. So, oh, and the seals, see, this seal's pretty much shot. You can buy this kind of stuff. It's a closed cell foam, quite a few places, and cut it out and make your own gasket. So we'll get to that in a bit. We'll just get taking it apart now. Alright, now this was pretty simple to take apart. We took out the motor first. We put the little sheet metal nuts to the side. Once you got that off, you had to take this piece off. And it had a little bracket that was up here. We just took it off and put it with the other hardware. And that allowed it to break loose from this piece, which this one had just 4 sheet metal nuts, one of them hidden right in there, and was able to take it apart from here. And then you had 4 sheet metal screws holding this kind of at an angle. You gotta slip it under there. It needs to lay down. It's hitting something on the side, but it lays in there at an angle, and then you take the 4 screws out, and then it lifts right out. The only thing left is we have our controls over here, the little cables. Those will go in last. And then we got an air door here, which is pretty much just sitting down in there. So we're gonna go through all this stuff. One of them had a busted corner on it, I think right here. That one, and we can just glue that back together. It's not bad. And just refinish everything and then put some new foam in there, which this foam is pretty crusty in spots. There, on the back of this, it's pretty rotted. And then we'll make a new gasket there. We'll check out, make sure the heater core isn't leaking or anything. It doesn't look like it is. It looks like it's just dirty more than anything. And then we will just paint it, put it all back together, and we'll test the motor there. That's easy to take out either way. And then we should have a heater box ready to go back in.
We hope you've enjoyed the preceding short feature.